So I had a call today from a friend of mine in the financial services community. He was attending a pretty large convention, private convention. There's these public and private conventions for hedge fund managers, financial services. A lot of the banking cartels attend. And the Federal Reserve many times sends economists. Sometimes the private ones, you have larger, more kind of people at the top of the pyramid, if you will, of the Federal Reserve that attend breaking down monetary policy. I got a call from a friend of mine who was at this meeting. This is a guy who's not, everyday kind of guy, but he's calling me kind of freaked out. He's like, Fabian, these guys are openly bragging about how they're going to, basically be printing more money. And, they didn't say printing money. I'm saying that. But basically how they're going to create more money to fund this war that John Kerry supposedly claims that the Arabs are going to pay for. Syria dominated the day today in this convention. They're talking about how the U.S. is on the verge of literally on the verge of default. We've surpassed the debt limit. Nobody's talking about this whatsoever. How the Fed is just out of control with the money printing. That's my friend telling me this. So let me break down a lot of things that are happening, because today at the G20 you had Putin and Obama smiling and shaking hands for the cameras. The truth is you have just Russian destroyers, amphibious ships from the Russian Navy up and down the Lebanon, Syrian coastline in the Mediterranean. Then you have a couple French ships, a couple Israeli ships, and a ton of other U.S. destroyers in the Mediterranean. That is a powder keg ready to blow. Last night I did a red alert video. I think I've done 5 in the 2 years that I've been doing videos, 2.5 years, whatever, about a report that the Department of Defense and the Pentagon penned at the beginning of 2012 about how they would need to deploy 75,000 troops to seize Assad's chemical weapons. All over the internet for the last couple weeks, there's been videos of, top link on Drudge Report right now, red linked, is video, Syrian rebel admits using chemical weapons. The Russians come out with a report today, 100-page report calling John Kerry a liar, saying that they have all the evidence. All their intelligence says that it's basically the Russian or the Syrian rebels, Al-Qaeda, who the CIA admittedly is training, how the Al-Qaeda rebels are the ones who used the chemical weapons. Not only that, now we're getting report after report where Al-Qaeda rebels trained by the West are slaughtering entire Christian villages, minority Muslim villages in Syria. This is totally out of control. Obama is poised to go for this. Why is this going to happen? Right? Because although you have members of the Senate on board for this and still some House members on board for this, most Americans and most even some Congress people that I see, a lot of them I see, they're like, this is crazy. And this is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. But this is all about the preservation of the petrodollar. And let me explain to you. If you don't know, after Richard Nixon got the dollar off the gold standard, they needed to come up with some other scheme to replace that. And so they came up with the petrodollar, which was basically, hey, Saudi Arabia, only trade your oil for US dollars and we'll give you military protection. By the way, use those dollars that we buy the oil from and buy our treasuries. Well, then in 1975, OPEC bought into this. Well, in order to keep the dollar propped up, they need to keep up this petrodollar system, which is clearly dying. And what puts more pressure on this is all the bilateral trade agreements you see taking place, with Russia and China leading the charge. Admittedly, in China and in Russia, I mean, this is all over the news. They are talking about how they want a gold-backed Chinese currency. They're having that discourse with the Chinese people. I have business partners in China. I have people that I speak to in China. And like I said yesterday, the Chinese people, for the most part, they're pro-Western. They don't hate America. They just want, to live their lives like we want to live their lives. The government and the military in China, though, does not like the West. They see them as an enemy. They are trained as little children to believe that the U.S. is the enemy. This is something that can get absolutely out of control. Look, in the last 10 years, you have inflation in China running over 200%. The Chinese are not going to allow the U.S. to continue to export inflation after inflation with all these illegal, illegitimate wars that we keep launching and this gigantic entitlement state that we've created by design to overwhelm the system, implode it, and usher in this new global economic reset. Let me tell you this. It's about the petrodollar. It's about this natural gas pipeline that they want to build, interestingly enough, from Libya through Egypt all the way up to Syria. Now, Assad had signed a deal with Iran and with Russia, and he said no to the deal that Qatar was putting forward. And it's all about cutting Russia out of funding all their natural gas, providing all that natural gas for the Europeans. Now, the Europeans are on board with this. America's on board with this because they know that, look, we can't allow a Chinese gold-backed currency that then the Russians will follow up with saying only our oil and natural gas will be traded in this new gold-backed currency, because the Europeans are going to have to say, well, hey, if we don't want to freeze to death, we need to now, instead of using the petrodollar, we need to now buy their natural gas with this new Chinese gold-backed currency. It is an absolute game changer. Why do you think they're getting ready for full-blown martial law in America, ladies and gentlemen? Because they know that the huge paradigm shift that I've been talking about for years now is underway. And let me tell you something else, okay? This war is something that can go hot at any moment. Today, breaking news was reported that the White House actually has plans, much larger plans, for a full-blown military operation in Syria. It's not just lobbing a couple Tomahawk missiles. It is a full-blown invasion with B-2 bombers, all kinds of other weaponry. I mean, this could get really crazy really quickly. Last point I want to make, something I don't hear anyone talking about, which is watch for a setup moment. All we need is the Russians, the Chinese, America, the globalists to launch or detonate a suitcase nuke, blame it on either side, release some anthrax in a major city, blow up a shopping mall, blame it on the other side. That's all we need. It is a ripe moment for a setup or a false flag as well. Last point I want to tell you, people in the financial industry sector, at least that I deal with on my side, major multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, major banking cartels, that I speak with some of their lower level operatives that I do business with. These people I've sensed in the last couple of weeks a tone change in them. And I don't know if it's related to this, but I can tell you something's in the air. I'm Fabian for Liberty. Thanks for watching. I'm out.